We're counting down the 10 deadliest water storage mistakes that could put your family's life on the line. From overlooked container flaws to silent chemical leaks and devastating hygiene oversights, this list exposes the critical errors even prepared families make, sometimes with fatal consequences. Which mistake ranks as the most lethal of all? Let's start the countdown with number 10 and see if your plan survives. During the 2023 Phoenix heatwave, temperatures soared to 119 degrees and water mains failed across the city. Dozens landed in emergency rooms for dehydration. Many had water set aside, but not nearly enough. The old rule of thumb, 1 gallon per person per day, fell apart fast. That single gallon only covers basic drinking needs in perfect conditions. Add a baby needing formula, or an elderly parent on medication, and the math changes. Factor in triple water needs for heat, and 2 more gallons per person just for washing and hygiene. Hospitals reported treating families who thought they were prepared, but ran dry in less than 2 days. For a family of 4, the real number is 12 gallons per day. That's 36 gallons for a 72-hour outage, 168 gallons for 2 weeks, and 360 gallons for a month. Start with a 3-day supply, then add 20 gallons each month until you hit your target. Most people underestimate. In a crisis, that mistake isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. In the wake of Hurricane Sandy, thousands of households along the East Coast relied on water stored in whatever containers they had on hand. For many, that meant old milk jugs and juice bottles stacked in closets and garages. Within a week, half of those milk jug water supplies had either split open or leaked out completely. The plastic in milk containers is not designed for long-term storage. It breaks down fast, especially when exposed to temperature swings or sunlight. Even before the jugs failed physically, invisible cracks allowed bacteria to multiply. Lab tests after Sandy showed that water stored in milk jugs had bacterial counts up to 200 times higher than safe limits within 6 months. Meanwhile, water kept in blue, food-grade HDPE barrels, marked with the number 2 recycling symbol, remained clear, with bacteria levels so low they were almost undetectable even after a year. The difference is more than just durability. Milk and juice bottles can trap sugars and residues that feed microbes, while non-food barrels sometimes leach chemicals. The only containers proven to keep water safe are opaque, food-grade HDPE number 2 vessels, tightly sealed and never reused from non-food products. The wrong container silently turns your emergency supply into a hazard, no matter how much you've stored. In 2018, Venezuela's rolling blackouts and water outages forced families to get creative with storage. On balconies and rooftops, people lined up clear jugs and buckets, hoping to catch every drop. Within 2 weeks, the water inside turned green. Algae coated the sides, fed by sunlight and relentless heat. Temperatures on those balconies often topped 100 degrees, speeding up bacterial growth and breaking down any sanitizer left in the water. Reports from Caracas showed that even water treated with bleach became unsafe in days when stored in the open. In some buildings, families noticed a strong chemical odor after keeping water near gasoline cans. Vapors had seeped right through the plastic. Studies confirm that gasoline fumes and other volatile chemicals can permeate most plastics, especially in high heat. Water stored on concrete picked up a dusty taste as the material leached through. The safest supplies were in cool, dark closets, off the floor, away from sunlight, and at least 10 feet from any fuel or paint. A few degrees cooler, and the difference could be the line between safe water and a trip to the hospital. Haiti, 2010. A devastating earthquake leaves millions without safe water. Relief trucks arrive daily, filling jerry cans and barrels across Port-au-Prince. But within weeks, cholera sweeps through the camps. Epidemiologists trace the outbreak to the very containers people relied on. Most were never sanitized before use. Bacteria like Vibrio cholera thrived in dirty jugs, spreading with every refill. Hospital wards overflowed. In the end, over 800,000 cases and 9,000 deaths were counted, most linked not to the water source itself, but to contaminated storage. The difference between safety and disaster comes down to a 2-minute protocol. Before filling any container, mix 1 teaspoon of unscented household bleach per quart of clean water. Pour it in until the container is a quarter full. Seal tightly and shake, making sure every surface gets coated. Wait 60 seconds. Drain completely, then rinse twice with potable water. Only then should you fill with drinking water. To keep it safe for up to a year, add 8 drops of unscented bleach per gallon as you fill. This simple step kills nearly all bacteria and viruses. Field studies show a full minute of bleach contact is enough to destroy cholera, E. coli, and most other pathogens. In every major outbreak since, the lesson repeats. Even clean water becomes deadly if poured into a dirty container. Sanitizing before every fill isn't optional. It's the baseline for survival. Ignore it, and you risk turning your emergency supply into a source of illness. Texas, February 2021. The state froze solid, and the power grid failed. Families who thought they were prepared reached for their water barrels. Some hadn't opened them in over a year. The first sign of trouble was the smell. Water that once tasted clean now gave off a stale, almost chemical odor. In Austin and Houston, emergency rooms saw a spike in stomach problems, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Interviews with doctors pointed to a common thread: stored water that hadn't been touched or tested in months. Chlorine, the main defense against bacteria, doesn't last forever. In cool, dark storage, it can keep water safe for about 12 months. In heat, or if the seal isn't perfect, chlorine fades faster. By the time the freeze hit, many supplies were no better than pond water. Lab tests after the storm showed bacterial growth in containers left untouched for a year. Some families poured water that looked clear, but test strips showed 0 chlorine, no protection at all. The fix is cheap and simple. Pool test strips cost about $8 for a pack of 20. Mark your calendar for every 6 months. Pull a sample, dip a strip, check the level. If chlorine is low, add 8 drops of unscented bleach per gallon, wait 30 minutes, and retest. If water smells or looks off, dump and refill. Every 12 months, replace your entire supply. No exceptions. Maintenance isn't glamorous, but it's the difference between safe water and a silent threat. Make testing and rotation a habit, just like changing smoke alarm batteries. Because in a real crisis, you only find out your water went bad when it's already too late. August 2005, New Orleans. As Katrina's floodwaters surged over levees, thousands watched their basements fill in minutes. For families who had followed decades-old advice to keep water supplies in the lowest, coolest part of the house, everything vanished at once. CDC field teams later documented that nearly every basement cache, barrels, cases of bottled water, 5-gallon jugs, was lost to contaminated floodwater. In some blocks, the only survivors with drinkable water were those who had stashed a few extra gallons in closets or upstairs bedrooms. Reports from the Superdome and shelters showed a pattern. People who relied on a single storage spot were left with nothing, while those who split their supply across multiple locations still had options. Emergency planners now recommend a 60-25-15 model. Keep about 60% of your water in a main supply. ideally in the safest, most secure part of your home. Set aside another quarter in a secondary location, like a closet or pantry on a higher floor. Reserve the last 15% as emergency caches, under beds, in the trunk of your car, or even at a trusted neighbor's. If flood, fire, or theft wipes out one stash, you're not left empty-handed. Katrina proved that redundancy isn't just smart, it's survival. The families who spread out their water supply had a lifeline when everyone else was scrambling. Don't let a single broken pipe or rising water erase all your preparation. Divide, secure, and label your storage zones now, before disaster makes the choice for you. After Hurricane Maria struck Puerto Rico in 2017, the municipal water system collapsed. For weeks, families depended on stored water and whatever they could collect from streams or rain. But the real threat wasn't just scarcity. It was what happened when people tried to treat the water they found. In neighborhoods across San Juan, hollow fiber filters were the first line of defense. But after just a few days, those filters clogged solid with muddy runoff, silt, and decaying leaves. Replacement cartridges ran out almost immediately. Boiling water should have been the next step, but with fuel in short supply and power lines down, most households couldn't keep a fire going long enough. Some tried to use bleach, but when water was cloudy or full of debris, even chlorine couldn't guarantee safety. Hospitals reported a surge in gastrointestinal illness, patients who thought they'd done everything right, but had no backup plan when their filters failed. The lesson is simple. No single treatment method is enough. Filters can remove bacteria and parasites, but not viruses. Boiling kills everything, but without power or fuel, it's useless. Chemicals like bleach or iodine disinfect clear water, but struggle with turbidity. The only reliable approach is layered. Strain muddy water through cloth to remove sediment. Run it through a filter if you have one, then disinfect. Boil for 1 minute, 3 minutes above 6,500 feet, or add 8 drops of unscented bleach per gallon, double if the water is cloudy. Wait 30 minutes before drinking. Always keep multiple tools on hand. Filters, bleach, iodine, a way to boil, and a backup for each. In Puerto Rico, the families that had options stayed healthy. Those who relied on a single tool found out too late that disaster doesn't care about your gear's warranty. In 2016, lab tests on common garden hoses sold across the US revealed a hidden hazard. Half of the hoses tested, unless specifically labeled as safe for drinking water, leached lead into water at levels that matched or exceeded EPA action limits. Some samples reached 19 or even 20 parts per billion after just 48 hours of contact, a number that would trigger immediate action if found in a municipal water supply. The threat isn't just chemical. Standard hoses also contain phthalates and BPA, compounds linked to long-term health risks. Yet, in emergencies, most people reach for whatever hose is at hand to fill or dispense water, never realizing that a single transfer can undo months of careful storage. But the risk doesn't stop at the hose. The moment you dip a cup or ladle into a storage barrel, you introduce bacteria from hands or surfaces. Studies from disaster zones show that gastrointestinal outbreaks are most often traced not to the original water source, but to the way water is handled and dispensed. In post-storm emergency rooms, doctors see the pattern. Stomach bugs hit families who used dirty spigots, shared ladles, or dipped cups directly into their barrels. The last 6 inches, from storage to mouth, are where most waterborne illness starts. The fix is straightforward. Only use hoses marked "drinking water safe." These are made without lead or harmful plasticizers. Store a dedicated siphon pump or spigot in a sealed bag labeled for water only, and sanitize it before use. Never dip cups or hands into your supply. Pour water out, or use a sanitized ladle. Wash hands before handling anything that touches your stored water. A few small habits: choosing the right hose, using clean tools, and practicing basic hand hygiene can keep a safe supply from turning deadly at the last step. In every major disaster, it's these everyday actions that make the difference between staying healthy and ending up in the hospital. A full 55-gallon water barrel weighs about 440 pounds. In earthquake zones, that's not just heavy, it's dangerous. During the 2019 Ridgecrest earthquakes in California, emergency crews found toppled furniture, shattered glass, and broken water lines all across town. While there's no official record of water barrel injuries in Ridgecrest, the physics are straightforward. A barrel that size, filled to the brim and left unsecured, can become a wrecking ball once the ground starts shaking. Even a partial tip can crush feet, break bones, or trap someone trying to escape. Fire departments across California now warn residents: never store large water barrels on high shelves or in narrow passageways. Keep every heavy container on the ground, never stacked, and always away from exits. Freeze risk is just as real. When water freezes, it expands by nearly 9%. In Texas, during the 2021 freeze, families woke to find their storage barrels split wide open, water flooding garages and basements. Hundreds of gallons lost, not to leaks, but to simple physics. Water pushing against rigid plastic until it bursts. The solution is simple. Never fill a barrel more than 90% full. That extra space gives freezing water somewhere to go, saving both the container and the supply inside. Securing barrels isn't just about earthquakes. Any heavy storage should be strapped to wall studs with metal brackets, simple gear from any hardware store. Place leak trays underneath to catch drips or spills, and always position barrels away from living spaces. If a quake or accident tips a barrel over, you don't want it blocking your only way out. Water storage is about more than purity and volume. It's about basic safety. A single oversight can turn a life-saving supply into a hazard. Secure, strap, and partially fill every container. That's how you keep your family safe, no matter what shakes loose. In 2013, Syrian displacement camps faced a crisis that went largely unnoticed: a shortage of water for hygiene, not just for drinking. Aid workers recorded hundreds of typhoid cases, hepatitis A outbreaks, and relentless waves of diarrheal illness. The culprit was a basic oversight. Families had enough to drink, but nowhere near enough to wash hands, clean dishes, or tend wounds. In Zaatari, the world's largest Syrian refugee camp at the time, water trucks came sporadically. Some families waited weeks for a refill. When the water ran out, hand washing stopped, utensils stayed dirty, and children played in dust before eating with unwashed hands. Disease spread quickly. OCHU and UNICEF reports from that year show children under 15 made up most typhoid cases. More deaths came from hygiene-related disease than from thirst. A family of 4 uses about 300 gallons of water each week for hygiene in normal times. In a crisis, families ration every drop for drinking, cutting hygiene water first. But the data is clear. In emergencies, infections and diarrheal disease kill more people than dehydration. The water for washing hands, cleaning wounds, or rinsing plates is just as critical as what's in the cup. When hygiene water is sacrificed, outbreaks begin. Preparedness means more than storing bottles for drinking. It means storing 3 times as much water for hygiene as for drinking, and marking every container with a clear, permanent, non-potable label to avoid deadly mix-ups. Pool water, rainwater, even melted snow can be used for washing, but never for drinking. Soap and sanitizer should be everywhere, not just by the sink. Simple written protocols, how to wash hands, how to keep water supplies separate, can save lives. In the Syrian camps, families who kept even a small, separate hygiene supply avoided the worst outbreaks. The real danger isn't just running out of water to drink, it's running out of water to love. From underestimated water needs in the Phoenix heatwave to deadly hygiene oversights in Syrian camps, these 10 water storage mistakes reveal just how fragile our preparedness can be. The most shocking entries, like lead contamination from everyday hoses and injuries from toppled barrels, prove that danger isn't just about running dry, but about the hidden risks in how we store, handle, and use our water. Across every item, a clear pattern emerges. Most failures result not from a single oversight, but from a chain of small, avoidable errors: wrong containers, skipped sanitization, poor rotation, and neglecting hygiene. This ranking shows that true water security is more than stockpiling gallons. It's a system of safe materials, smart distribution, and strict routines. The list makes one thing clear: the deadliest threat comes not from outside, but from the overlooked details within our own homes. Fixing these mistakes turns your water storage from a silent hazard into your family's strongest safeguard against disaster.